I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on, because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
For years, there have been stories of how Hollywood has turned its back on faith, provoking Mel Gibson to finally break his silence on Godless Hollywood, discussing the battles behind the scenes and the future of Christianity in the entertainment industry.
Hollywood is probably the country's biggest propaganda reinforcer.
But what triggered Mel?
One of the things that I thought was fascinating was reading and listening to Jim Caviezel talk about his experience playing Christ in your film.
Yeah.
During an interview that Joe Rogan had with Mel Gibson, they talked about the movie The Passion of the Christ, a very exceptional movie. Then Mel seized the opportunity to talk about Jim Caviezel, who played the role of Jesus on Joe Rogan's show.
It was fascinating to watch him work, actually. And most of the time, I just backed away.
Apparently, Mel was going somewhere with what he was saying as he said this.
Because he was doing something that, and I've seen a lot of people portray Jesus in films, right? And I never buy it.
But here's where what he was trying to say started to make more sense.
I think he pulled it off, because I totally believed it.
I believed it too.
And it was
And then, he finally found the right words that brought everything out in the open.
And he left it. He didn't try anything. He emptied himself out, and he meditated, and he let Christ in.
As the interview went on, Joe asked Mel this important question that will make you wonder if acting is just for a movie's sake, or if it is far more.
I haven't met him still, but I wish I'd seen him before and then after. To see what did that role change him? Because it seemed to have strengthened his faith.
To answer his question, this was what Mel had to say.
He got in real tight with it, and I think he had some experiences while he was doing it. He suffered a little.
It was after Mel's response that Joe had to bring up this very thought that Mel has refused to be silent about.
Filming that movie must have had a profound effect on a lot of people, right?
It did,
Because you were doing something that wasn't just a film. It was...
verite.
One of the major things that was so intriguing was how Mel self-funded the movie. Joe's words were filled with so much sentiment, as he was curious to know what Mel had to say about it.
And it was strengthening people's faith. That film was profound success, and a lot of people dismissed the idea of it even.
Yes.
Especially in Hollywood.
Contrary to what you may be expecting, Mel was rather calm when he shared the experience.
All that, right?
Yes, it was self-funded, and it was a very strange experience, that one, because I put the money in, and I thought, well, maybe I'll break even.
Even when it was not a happy experience, that didn't stop him from saying this.
These messages back, all the majors wouldn't distribute it. So I was like, nobody will distribute it. Okay, I guess I've lost, the money, but it was worth the experience.
Without speaking further, it was as if Joe could read mind as he brought out the exact words that Mel could have said.
Two things. There was resistance to the Christianity aspect of it and promotion of Christianity. And then there was resistance to the fact that you went outside the system.
At some point, it was as if Jim Caviezel was being attacked both physically and spiritually from acting in the movie. This made TBN invite Jim for an interview.
Would you just tell us some of the things that happened while you were making The Passion of the Christ, just to show you the power of the enemy trying to stop that movie from coming out?
In response to this question, hear what Jim said.
Well, I was struck by lightning on the last shot of the movie. It's well known. I've talked about it before.
He didn't just experience that. He also had to go through this.
Prior to that, it was shoulder dislocation, and it happened in the weirdest areas of the movie.
Now, this has been one question that a lot of people have always wanted to ask Mel.
What motivates you, Mel, to make faith films like this, films with a faith message? Why do you do it?
Well, to quench the curiosity, here's what Mel said.
Faith is a real thing, and I think that oft times, I made the ultimate superhero film.
If you think that was all he said, wait till you hear what he said next, causing the audience to fall into deep laughter.
And real superheroes don't wear spandex.
Then, To help people understand him further, he said this.
And they don't have a lot of 3D special effects, but they do operate on a higher level, on a supernatural level.
Mel was not just talking because he was asked a question, but he wanted the people to go back home with a new perspective about the movie, passion for Christ, and see Hollywood for what it really is.
And they actually look and appeal to something greater than themselves, and then they do something superhuman.
Mel's outburst about Hollywood is not something you could just turn a blind eye to. However, things got more interesting when Raymond Arroyo engaged Mel in a discussion about his faith after losing his house in a fire.
I feel like I'm being stripped down and prepared for something else. Now that's maybe very personal, but I feel like the Almighty's preparing me to do something big.
That was not all. He also added this to promote his faith in God.
Gives, God takes. We come in with nothing. That's the same way we go out, And here's the deal. You'll always be okay.
He then made this illustration to solidify his position as a Christian.
First, the kingdom of God. You'll always be okay. You'll get what you need. Look at the flowers of the field. Look at the birds of the air. They get fed. They get clothed. I mean, it's Matthew, I think. But
It seems things were more than people thought about Hollywood, as actors Mel Gibson, Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and John Lithgow comment on the sexual harassment scandal rocking Hollywood.
I think it is moving forward. I think that light has definitely been shone into the dark regions, and it's painful, but it's a necessary thing for change.
This is what John Lithgow had to say about it.
You're seeing lives destroyed, but you're also seeing lives that have been deeply troubled for years.
While John Lithgow had that to say, what does Will Ferrell have to say about this?
It feels like victims of this abuse are feeling safe enough and bold enough to come forward and tell their stories, and we need to continue to have more of that. And
where more attention started turning towards Hollywood was when Mel said some really deep stuff here.
I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on, because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
Mel had already gotten to the point where he knew he would never be a part of Hollywood. And so he could say this.
Formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it that were like...
It was just how he was explaining everything that made the whole thing even more concerning.
Can't be like, weird town, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them and they tell you don't go into the house on the hill.
And then he shared another weird experience he once had.
He came to see me on a rooftop in New York. I said, hey, can I talk to you? And he said, sure. And he floated in, sideways.
At this moment, what he said was nothing you'd expect.
Crowd of people. He was wearing black. And it was like one of those old vampire movies where they don't walk, but they glide. And he was a dancer, so he has he's very...
Apparently, these were not the things he was expecting. But hear what he said next that will just put you in deep thoughts.
And he left, and I wanted to leave. And because I knew that I didn't want to work with him.
Yeah.
And he was getting scary.
Mel didn't stop there. He went on to explain how a Hollywood producer he knew was very mysterious about women.
I need to end. It's very brief. He says, women on film, either naked or dead. Both is better.
Mel found the opinion rather evil as he expressed a sad reality surrounding it.
And it's like, whoa, ooh. The man has got a spiritual malady for a start. I mean, the scary thing is that I think a lot of people think that.
Hollywood is being tagged as a troubled place, as outnumbered panelists at Fox News reacted to the unexpected solution that has been put in place to provide a permanent solution to what is happening.
Well, President-elect Trump has a plan to save Hollywood. He just appointed 3 big-name stars to be special envoys to Tinseltown to help boost business.
Tensions reached a boiling point as everyone was curious to know what the solution would be.
It is my honor to announce Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone to be special ambassadors to a great but very troubled place, Hollywood, California.
You just know it's not going to be a very simple solution since it's coming from Trump.
Special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years to foreign countries, back. Bigger, better, and stronger than ever before.
Who would have thought that Trump would bring up this kind of solution?
These 3 very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will again be, like the United States of America itself, the golden age of Hollywood.
But what do they think about Trump's move?
So I think it's smart of President Trump to recognize this issue and to send some of those reinforcements to try to, push for change.
Following her response, the host asked this question that seemed like the most important surrounding this whole issue.
Haley, does this mean that Christian conservative actors will no longer be canceled and that those movies will shine bright too?
With all confidence in the decision Trump took, hear what she said.
Hope so. If I was a leftist in Hollywood, the first thing I'd do is, or anyone in Hollywood, because they all tend to be leftist, I'd bring in Sylvester Stallone, I'd bring in Mel Gibson, I'd bring in these people and say...
She had to say, let's move to this guy, as he said this.
Individuals that Trump picked. Stallone, Rambo, Vietnam veteran, Mel Gibson, The Patriot. These movies inspire a pride in one's country.
While he accepts Trump's decision and thinks it's a great one, does this lady think so?
I mean, Hollywood has become so out of touch and displaced from the rest of the American public that it kind of does need a bit of an intervention.
Subsequently, as someone who has been a firm believer in God, Mel was asked this question.
One last question. What is your favorite Bible verse?
My favorite Bible verse?
The millions, I'm sure. Or thousands.
What do you think his answers were? Wait till we hear from Mel himself.
Favorite. I mean, there's too many good ones.
Beautiful.
And they're hard to, they all mean something different. I mean, it's great. From the Old Testament and the New Testament. I mean, they're both.
In all of this whole Mel and Hollywood saga, it happened that Extra's Billy Bush caught up with Mel, who opened up and reflected on his life tenets. Billy asked him this.
What is the great life lesson from Mel Gibson? What is the great pearl that is the constant or the lesson you can pass on? Give me the gem.
Mel has always gotten very sensitive questions, but this was the most epic.
It all starts with, like, you got to look at yourself a lot. And it's like, how do you get meaning out of this existence? And what's it all about?
You might want to get that again if you didn't. Listen to this also.
So it's a search in that direction. And I think the search, you might never get to the end of it, but I think the very act of searching yields some kind of good fruit.
Even with Mel's response so striking, Billy was not done asking him questions.
Do you do every day that is beneficial to you?
Of course, trust Mel, who is ever ready to give very thoughtful responses.
I realize I'm not in control of this whole thing. And no matter what happens, I just ask for the grace to be able to deal with it, and to deal with it well, and to accept it.
This is just the problem with people like Billy. They never want to let you go until they suck you dry with questions.
Tenets of Mel Gibson's life. Is it prayer? Is it meditation? Is it exercise? You remain in tremendous shape.
Fortunately for Billy, Mel was not tired of answering his questions either.
All those things are in play. I would say prayer, meditation, exercise, and introspection and self investigation. So that
even Billy didn't see this coming, as Mel said.
Make sure that you don't get out of line too much. It's a high wire act.